I resume my function as a President of the Council.
L'accord de Washington et la déclaration de principe de Doha abondent dans le même sens car le retrait des troupes rwandaises, la fin de leur appui au M23 et le retour de l'autorité de l'État congolais sur toutes les zones occupées constituent des conditions non négociables pour une paix véritable. Le Conseil de sécurité, garant du maintien de la paix et de la sécurité internationale, doit veiller à la stricte application de cet accord, désormais indissociable de la mise en œuvre de sa résolution 2773. Tant que ces décisions ne seront pas exécutées, le sang des innocents continuera de couler. L'objectif pour la République démocratique du Congo demeure inchangé. Obtenir une paix juste, durable et véritable, non une accalmie factice et éphémère qui, depuis près de 30 ans, a trop souvent déçu l'espérance de notre peuple. Nous attendons de la communauté internationale et de ce Conseil de sécurité qu'ils se tiennent avec constance et courage du côté du droit. C'est à ce prix que la vérité l'emportera sur l'impunité et que la paix redeviendra possible. La République démocratique du Congo est un pays de vie, de richesse naturelle et de résilience humaine. Nous voulons contribuer à la paix mondiale, mais la paix commence par la reconnaissance de notre propre tragédie. J'adresse à cette Assemblée un appel solennel. Reconnaissez le génocide congolais, soutenez notre combat pour la vérité et la justice et aidez-nous à bâtir enfin une paix durable au cœur de l'Afrique. Nous demandons que les Nations unies instaurent un régime de sanctions ciblé contre les auteurs de crimes économiques, mais aussi des crimes de guerre, crimes contre l'humanité et crimes de génocide commis à l'est de mon pays, et qu'elles soutiennent toutes les actions visant à tarir les circuits illicites d'approvisionnement en minerais qui financent depuis des décennies la guerre et la tragédie humaine. La communauté internationale a le devoir moral et politique de reconnaître cette tragédie pour ce qu'elle est, un génocide, et d'agir en conséquence. Le silence et l'inaction face à ces crimes s'apparentent à une complicité. Nous demandons la mise en place immédiate d'une commission d'enquête internationale, indépendante et dotée de moyens pour établir la vérité, rendre justice aux victimes et rompre le cycle de l'impunité qui nourrit ce drame depuis des décennies. Monsieur le Président, en ce qui concerne la MONUSCO, la position de mon pays a déjà été exprimée maintes fois ici. Mon gouvernement est en plus favorable à l'option d'un rôle opérationnel à conférer à la MONUSCO en matière de vérification d'un éventuel cessez-le-feu et de soutien à la mise en œuvre des accords de paix. Nous voulons insister sur la nécessité pour le Conseil de sécurité de renforcer diplomatiquement, militairement ainsi que financièrement la MONUSCO pour l'accomplissement de son mandat qui sera bientôt renouvelé. Nous en appelons au Conseil de prendre des décisions pour contraindre le Rwanda et son supplétif du M23FC de ne pas entraver les libertés de mouvement de la force de paix de la MONUSCO.
Thank you for giving me the floor. And allow me to begin by commending. The peace process provides a structured and inclusive framework for dialogue aimed at tackling the root causes of conflict, including issues of governance, exclusion, armed groups, and ethnic tensions. Rwanda sees hope in these efforts, but their success depends on full commitment and genuine political will from all parties involved. This is a one-time chance to bring lasting peace to the DRC, and the Security Council must lend its unequivocal support. We call on all parties to honor their commitments, engage constructively, and ensure that this process translates into concrete measures that will bring peace and address the underlying drivers of conflict in the Eastern DRC. I wanted to reiterate that Rwanda is fully committed to this process, and we shall implement it to the letter. Having reviewed the Secretary General's report under consideration today, I wish to share Rwanda's principal concerns, notably the underreporting of critical facts, the imbalanced portrayal of armed groups, the persistent and dangerous presence of the DRC-backed FDLR, and the implications for MONUSCO's future role as the peace agreement moves into implementation. I wanted to reiterate that the Washington Agreement creates a role for MONUSCO, and this requires that MONUSCO positions itself to implement this role in a constructive way. So the advice we are giving here is in that logic. While we value reporting, the latest report on Eastern DRC reflects troubling omissions. Chief among them is the failure to sufficiently address one of the most dangerous drivers of violence, and that is hate speech and identity-based persecution. I know in paragraph 79, the report talks about hate speech, but not sufficiently. Hate speech is something very dangerous. I have seen reports of the Security Council where you quote from the social media postings. Who has not seen hate speech in social media, in classrooms, in churches, where hate is taught to 10-year-olds? Who has not seen those posts? Only last week, some people were being tormented because they had a long nose. Those who know the history of the region know what it means, what a long nose means. It means death to some people. So this is not something that the report must refer to in passing. The report does not address the issue of mercenaries. There is a whole convention of the United Nations against the use of mercenaries. There are more than 2 Security Council resolutions against the use of mercenaries. There is the African Union resolution against the use of mercenaries. When did this council ever address the issue of mercenaries? There are mercenaries now. There were mercenaries before. When they were flushed out of the forests, everyone was there to see. Why is it that the Security Council treats this as a non-issue? And why is it that MONUSCO does not consider this as an issue? Why is Rwanda concerned? Because it is just across our border. Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese communities, including Banyamulenge in South Kivu, are being singled out for expulsion and extermination. Again, who has not seen or who did not hear that there was an ultimatum given in Uvira for Tutsis to leave the country, a 10-day ultimatum? I met one senior official of the UN on the 8th day to ask why the UN had been silent all along. A commander of the army issues an ultimatum for the ethnic group to leave the country. Where was the emergency meeting to address that? Why is the UN until now silent about it? Is it normal that an ethnic group is ordered to leave the country of their origin to go to where they are perceived to believe, to belong? Because telling the truth is the only thing we can do here. And we will not tire repeating it and repeating it. Decisions will remain entirely yours. But the truth of the matters, we shall continue to tell. FDLR, that is backed by the DRC government, has an origin in the force that killed 1 million Rwandans. It is the only genocidal group that remained in its military formation in known locations with the same intentions undisturbed for the period of 31 years now. There is not any other single group I know in the history that committed the genocide, remained in that military formation, kept their arms, regrouped, got supported, remained pursuing its intent for 31 years, and today the report says they have strongholds undisturbed. That is FDLR. That is discussed here as a non-issue. Actually, let me say something that you may not have to provide an answer for, but take time to reflect about it. FDLR is within FARDC, and it is known, it is in your reports. FDLR is assisted by the DRC government. It is there, it is known, it is in your reports. MONUSCO cooperates with the DRC government, with DRC army, knowing FDLR is within DRC army. And what MONUSCO does, and this is on record, is to avoid units and battalions in which FDLR is deployed. So which standard is that? That there is a formal military cooperation between a UN force and a government force that has a genocide force within it, as long as they are not kept in the same units. Formally, that is the position of MONUSCO. What does complicity mean if that is not complicity? MONUSCO knows FDLR units are within FARDC units. What they do is just avoid those. So you can use them elsewhere as long as we don't mix. But you are in the same efforts, same military campaign. How did it occur in the wisdom of this council to form that partnership against M23, against Rwanda? M23 are Congolese who are being expelled from their country. Rwanda is a country that suffered the genocide at the hands of FDLR, and which has suffered 21 more attacks after 1994. If 21 attacks by a non-state group supported by a state member to the UN, if it does not constitute the reason to activate Article 51 of the Charter, which justifies that? Which threshold exists? 21 attacks in the period of 31 years. If you wanted to know how many times FDLR has attacked Rwanda, look at how many travel advisories some of your countries have issued. Because every time they attack Rwanda, you advise your citizens not to go to that part of Rwanda.
Je vous remercie de me donner à nouveau la parole. J'aurais pu